Dobre došli, or welcome back. This is our second week of preparing the garden so that it'll have a chance at survival while we're off on our summer adventure.
Bok, I'm Mandy O. This is Grow, Make, Cook, and welcome to my garden. I grew up in Australia in a permaculture family, but after we got married, Mr. O and I moved here to his home country of Croatia. I am a passionate and hands-on homemaker and gardener, and I love life's simple pleasures. So join me on my journey, and together we can learn to grow, make, and cook. Our main jobs are mulching and harvesting in this, the fourth week in July, or Srpanj.
What I'm doing here is probably the most important job in preparing my garden for our time away, and that is mulching. What I'm using here is just some torn up regular cardboard, and I'm just popping it on the ground quite thickly all around the plants that I want to look after. This does three things. Firstly, it'll keep the moisture in the ground. So because the sun isn't hitting the ground directly, the water won't evaporate off so quickly, and it lets the plants really have a chance to get at all the moisture in the ground. The second thing that it will do is it'll stop the weed seeds germinating. Most seeds need the sunshine on the soil to warm it up in order for them to germinate. And if the ground isn't getting the sunshine, then you get a lot less weeds. And the third thing, the benefit of using something like cardboard, is that it will gradually, slowly break down and feed the soil. So you end up with slightly improved soil structure just by bunging some cardboard on top. The other part of making sure that there is some moisture in the ground is remembering to do a really big, long, deep drink for all those plants that you're mulching around for water retention. You want to make sure that there's some moisture in the ground for that mulch to protect. So, before we disappear off on our summer adventure, I would like to at least harvest a few of my potatoes. I don't want to dig up the whole bit though. I don't want to take everything out, and I certainly don't want to dig everything up. So what I'm going to do is a little bit of robbery. What I've got is my loose brick beds, which I've just started deconstructing the side of a little bit, and then I've slotted an old bit of board down next to the soil so that you can see the soil is just here and the timber board is just here. And now my plan is to just keep deconstructing this bed, and then I'm going to try and stick my hand in, try not to disturb too much soil, and see if I can find some spuds. And I'll just give it a little pull and a little tug, and we'll try and fish out a couple of spuds. This won't be all of them, but I'll fish out just a few. If I can stick my hand right in there, in order to make some dinner. I might also harvest a couple of beetroots, I think. And now, like the midnight robber I am, I'm just going to slip these bricks back in to the wall and pretend like it never happened. The potato shouldn't mind too much that I've been so smash and grab with him, but he will want a really good water and a good feed after that. The other thing that I want for my roast vegetables tonight is a bit of beetroot. So these ones I've got growing here are starting to look well and truly ready. Oh yeah, that's a good size beetroot. This is the first spaghetti squash of this season, which is very late for this year. Normally we would have gotten loads of spaghetti squash by now, but unfortunately, due to the crazy weather, we lost all of our squashes multiple times this spring. So I'm cutting the stem as long as I can, and we're going to take it up inside on a sunny window to dry. Oh yeah, he looks beautiful. And by harvesting your squashes, you're encouraging the plant to make more fruit. But these do need some really warm, sunny weather in order to ripen the skin up. So there we are, first spaghetti squash of the year. One last thing I'm going to grab from the garden for this dish is a great big bunch of chives. Now those of you who have been here before know how I like to use my herbs in abundance. The lovely thing about growing your own is that you can just use great big bunches of them instead of a pinch of this or a dash of that. A bit of summer bounty from the garden. The first thing to do is to give your potatoes a really good scrub because they've been in the soil just a moment ago. Now, because my spuds are far from all the same size, I'm chopping the little ones just in half and the big ones into quarters. Next up are my beetroots. Now, I'm going to save the greens for these, and I think I'm actually going to make a side dish with them tonight as well. I'm just going to peel off the skins from my beetroots. Oh, aren't they lovely? Look at this, the stripes. You don't get stripes on bought beetroot. How delightful. But I'm just going to peel them and then I'm going to chop them to be roughly the same size as my potatoes. I'm going to throw these into a tray, put a dash of oil in there, cover it with foil, and then throw it into about a 200-degree oven for about an hour before I turn them. For our sauce to go on our baked vegetables, I've got about 2 cups of mushrooms and a little nub of butter, which I didn't measure. I guess is about less than a tablespoon of butter, which I've just chopped into small pieces and I'm throwing into a small saucepan. And then we're just going to throw all of these mushrooms, I missed one, all of these mushrooms in, and then we're just going to cook them down slowly on a low heat for about 10 minutes. Once the mushrooms have really cooked down and have gotten quite small, crush in 2 or 3 great big fat cloves of garlic. And then I'm going to add in about a cup of stock and a cup of white wine. Any white wine that you wouldn't mind drinking will do. Now that my sauce has reduced down to about half the volume of liquid, I'm going to throw in my chives. It's a good handful. I've just washed and chopped them into about centimetre long chunks. Now I'm just getting onto my wilted beet leaves. All I'm going to do is chop them roughly and then saute them lightly in some butter in a pan on reasonably high heat. And that's it really. Now that they've had a solid hour with the foil on, I'm going to take the foil off, give them a swizzle, stick them back in the oven for about another half an hour, just to crisp up a little bit, but they should be all cooked now. The last thing, right before you serve and when your vegetables are already cooked, is just to pop about 200 grams of sour cream into your mushroom sauce and stir thoroughly. This is after I've already turned the heat off. Some people might think it was a little bit odd making a meal basically out of fresh potatoes, but once you've tasted these babies, you'll realize that they are a treat to be savored. When I can't quite decide where I want to plant out my flowers or vegetables or whatever, sometimes I do this, which is to just put the pots down that they've been growing in and then take a step back and look at the rest of the garden. See, I know this one won't get much taller. This is that chrysanthemum that we took cuttings from last week, but I know it won't get much taller, so, will I still be able to enjoy everything that that plant has to offer in this location? After thinking about it, I think the chrysanthemum should probably come all the way up the front there, and maybe the dahlia should take that spot in there by the tree, just because the sunflowers will shoot up tall and this will kind of stay low at the front maybe. This is one of those parts of gardening that I really enjoy. It's almost like painting or designing with your flowers. You're trying to, put together a picture, I guess. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with that. I am going to put my other dahlia, which is very similar, just over this side, because I'm going to put a stepping stone in here. So I think that will sort of balance it out a little bit, one on each side. Looking good. Then it's just a matter of digging a hole and plonking these fellas in. And I'll just pull this mulch back around him and we'll give him a good soak in. But I think he looks quite happy there, and he's even making that last little white flower. I guess that's it from us for a little while at least. We are going to be away for the next almost 2 weeks. So our regular Sunday episodes are going to take a little break for summer, and hopefully we'll get back to you in a fortnight. After this last episode before our summer break, we're hoping to also send you some, little tidbits of our adventures while we're away. So stay tuned, we're not disappearing, it just won't be our regular Sunday episode. If you like what we're doing, please hit like, and if you haven't already, remember to subscribe and use the bell below if you want notifications. So until next time, whenever that will be, do widzenia.